So, okay. But I'm glad to be talking to y'all though. Like extremely glad to be talking to you guys. Hey. I saw Covenant and I was amazed. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a little skeptical, like a lot of people. I was like, okay,
I'm sure.
It's a Bible story. I was raised in the church. I mean, what else can you teach me? What new take can you put on a book that's as old as time itself? So when you have Bible stories set to the backdrop of the 21st century, that's what caught me. Because I've always said to myself, I wonder how we will react if like the plagues of Egypt were happening right now, or if we like witnessed the Great Flood or something like that. Like if that was happening in 2021, how would the world react? So
you got to keep watching.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
Yeah.
You creating that, Kaye, I was just like, I'm gonna get into this. And so I watched the first episode and I was sitting there the whole time like what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next?
That's so funny. I have a picture from the screening where the entire row was doing the same thing. And even I was transfixed as if I haven't seen it 100 times. but you still get that in tune with it when you see these people pain and their stories and their ups and downs. So that was dope.
Absolutely. What prompted you to do this kind of story? I'm sure you're someone who has written so much, created so much. What prompted you to do something based on the Bible and sit to the backdrop of modern day?
So because I grew up in the church too, I was like, there is no programming out there. I mean, there obviously is faith-based programming, but nothing that kind of is skewed towards a younger generation, a generation of the now. Because most of the faith-based projects, they're antiquated, they're kind of, I'm not gonna say they're slow, but they're just very Bible-driven, very verse-driven, and it's just not exciting for the average, millennial or generation X, Y, Z. And so I wanted to create something that they would be interested in that touches on real world topics that are happening right now, but also something that even if you aren't into the church, that's just a good show.
Right.
Like you don't have to know any of these stories at all. And in fact, I don't even reveal the story till like the very end you'll see a Bible verse and that tells you which story it's based on. But other than that, you got to guess. And try to figure it out until the end. And so I wanted something that both secular and non-secular audiences could enjoy and get into. So at the end of the day, you just want a good show.
Agreed. I love the fact that that's an anthology series. I think that's amazing. I've always loved an anthology series, how you can take one group of actors and actresses and make so many different stories using those same characters. I think it speaks awesomeness to their versatility and their acting skills. And it speaks awesomeness to the director and their ability to direct so many different stories and scenes in one project. And a lot of people don't realize that. They're just like, oh, okay, well, what they're doing now. No, they're doing a masterpiece. There's a lot of mixing, moving puzzles and pieces because there's so many different stories in one. So I love that. And with your story, you play Serena Fuller and you're a character who went into menopause early and she is desperate to have babies for her husband. Very touching. Very, very touching. Why did you pick that particular character and story to play?
Because, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I chose for myself a character in the next episode. Her name is Monica, and Jasmine Burke plays her. And I wrote, when I was writing that particular episode, The Vow, I was like, oh, I'm writing Monica for me. But then when Nikki Love, she's the vice president over at AllBlk's, when she read the scripts, she was like, there's no way you shouldn't be Serena. Like, you need to open up the show. You need to play her. And so she actually suggested it. And it took me a minute, like a week, to wrap my head around it because I was so gung-ho on Monica. And then I was like, you know what? And honestly, it worked out for the best because Jasmine is so good. You're gonna love her in The Vow. And I was able to play a role that I probably would have never got booked in because that's not what people see me as. And then also going through it, it was so resonant. It resonated with me because I feel like I've waited to have a kid, right? I pursued a career because I was in marketing before, and then I switched into film and TV. And so because I've been pursuing this and pursuing it so doggedly, it's like, well, when I do get ready to have one, will I be able to do that? What's going to happen? So it was a real fear of mine. And I wanted to touch on that. And a lot of women, friends of mine and whatnot. So.
Absolutely. And Mr. Duane Findley.
Yes, sir.
I completely understand. Mr. Duane Findley, you are playing a number of characters. Like you and all of them, I'm kind of like, oh, how, as I spoke earlier, that could be very challenging for an actor. How did you switch between all those different roles? Like you playing this character once, you playing this character next. Each one of them got a different attitude, personality, and backstory. How do you adapt to that? And so quickly.
Yeah. Well, it took some time. It was definitely when Kaye gave me the role, I had to do some study. I had to actually get deeper into the characters and figure out these are Bible stories. These are biblical things. When I read it, I didn't read it as that. I just read it as this, this theatrical thing, that piece that I'm reading. And it came to me as, that's a cold story. And when I'm talking to Kaye, I was like, yo, because I got to read all 4 episodes, which became 8 episodes, actually. So I got to read all 8. And it dawned on me like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. So I caught the gist of that. Kaye kind of gave me the heads up at the end of that conversation. Then I had to go and find my mother's Bible in the trunk of my car and found it and said, and I started reading the actual stories that this is talking about. And it just, that's what I use to bring this character to life, because he's the constant throughout the entire series. And you do see him in different lights. And when you first meet him in episode 1, you're kind of wondering, is he an accomplice to this, or what's going on with him? And then at the second one, which is going to air on AllBlk's this Thursday. So please download the app. You probably watched episode 1 already and saw both. But, this will be episode 2 to those who haven't seen it yet. And if you have the app, just tune in this Thursday. It's going down. And they'll see it. I don't want to kill it for anybody that is going to watch it or whenever this airs, but they're going to see his character start to transform and take some type of formation and what he will be throughout the rest of the series. And, episode 3, it starts to turn up a notch. And then episodes beyond that, you get the full range of who my character is and, why he's there.
So looking at your character, I have an idea of who he is, and especially with him being in all of them. And I just think about the recurring character or the main character in all the biblical stories. And I'm just kind of like, okay, that's who he is. I get it.
It's possible. Yeah, you might be on the right track.
But I want them to watch that. I know when you're doing stories about the Bible and stuff like that, people can give you a lot of backlash about it. Have you guys received any backlash when it comes to how you presented these stories in a modern context?
No, from whether it's been church folk or whether it's been, regular friends of mine or people that I've met who've seen the episode, they're all so supportive of it because it's so different and so entertaining. And it really is the characters that they're falling in love with. And the Bible story is the underlying backdrop, but they love the characters and they love the story. And it's because they can relate to it. So it's been a really great response.
I haven't had any backlash from the character as of yet. Like I said, out of episode 1, there's some people don't really understand who he is just yet. They kind of have a different perception of it. And I've heard several different opinions of it, and I haven't given them, what it is just yet. Like, you might be on the right track, maybe a combination of what you're thinking,
Okay. So what are your favorite Bible stories, and how could you see them playing inside of Covenant? Just shortly, not like a whole decide do it out. What are your favorite Bible stories? Like for me,
I'll be brief.
What is yours?
Yeah, I remember mine. I'll be quick with mine. I think mine is because I knew it when I partly read this one. It was Samson and Delilah. But now, because I've had to pull out my Bible and read these stories and figure it out, there's a story that's not necessarily in this, but the promise touches on it. But the story of Solomon and his wisdom. And when he had the 2 ladies with babies, those that don't know the story, I'll paraphrase here. He had 2 women with babies, and one died. And both women were claiming the child that was still living. And Solomon, being as wise and he said, hey, you know what? Let's slice this baby in half, and both of you can have a piece of it. And at that moment is when the real mother came out and saved that child. So, people can take, you get what I'm saying? I got several moral stories from that in my mind that says, hey, if you love something, you try to do anything to protect it. Being a parent, I think the same thing, But you know, also now that I've read the script and everything else, I won't give up what the promise is about. You know, that's after you've watched it, maybe that should be the conversation. But these are basically things that we're going to see in these episodes, and it's told so eloquently. The writing on this, the actors, the people that she chose, these beautiful melanated faces are telling this story and being so personal. And it's amazing to see the cast come together and do it in all 4 pieces that way, which has become 8 now on AllBlk's. So you got to watch it. Download the app to get the first month free, I believe.
First 7 days.
What is your favorite Bible story?
Oh my God, I was just sitting there thinking there's so many to choose from, whether it's Boaz or like Jacob, Leah, and Rachel, or Joseph. But okay, but I would put it on this one, and because it's so many in one. So King David, right? From the very first, when you see him with David and Goliath, when he is the sheepsherder, and then all the way until when he is a king, and then what happens with his children after he becomes king, and then he's Solomon's father, and then all of those things. So just see his life trajectory, because he was such a flawed person, but he still had a heart for God. And that is what I connect with, because none of us are perfect. All of us go through stuff. We all get in trouble. We all do our thing. But is your heart for God? And to see how, with all the flaws he had, he still was God's chosen one, and God loved him so much. That to me is probably, and there's so many stories in one with him that sits with me the most, that I love the most.
I love that. Both of you are right. Both of those stories have a lot of messages. It's a lot to unpack. So before we wrap up, I want to know what you guys have coming up for 2022, because 2021, she about to step out the door. She about to say, look, I'm tired of y'all. Peace. What do y'all got going on for 2022? What do we have going on in the new year?
So first of all, Covenant, we got to watch all these episodes from now until December on AllBlk's every Thursday. Every new one is dropping. But beyond Covenant, which I love, The Oval is coming out season 3 on BET. So it's going to drop. It's actually out now. And so I show up in episode 10 through the rest of the season. And she is causing some problems for Victoria, lady. Yes, I'm coming in there to wreck shop. So you got to come and see her and what she's doing. And we're getting ready to shoot season 6 of Saints and Sinners. So that's coming up soon. So please wait for that, because it's going to be real hot and juicy. We have some stuff going on. So, and I'm getting ready to do a movie too. So y'all get ready for that.
What about you, Duane?
Well, man, one thing I've learned from this process. Hold on just a moment. Mailman. One thing I learned from this process is definitely that I'm excited about what's to come. I can't worry about tomorrow or next year. I'm going to worry about today. And this is what God has given me today. So next year, whatever the blessing may be, man. And I'm happy to work with Kaye again. Obviously, I got to go get my mail. I'll let you know.
All right, y'all. For talking with me today. We will make sure we'll be watching The Covenant on AllBlk. It premiered on October 14th, the first episode. The second one is coming out this Thursday, October 21st, and is entitled The Promise. So make sure y'all tune in and watch it. Of course, we'll be reviewing it here at Control Magazine, and I'll have it on my own personal YouTube channel during reviews. So I'm
watching your reviews. I can't wait to see it. Yes, we're going to talk again.
A lot to dissect. Let's teach the people something.
Yes. I want to know what you think. I want to know whose side you're on. Well, we'll talk. We'll talk at the part 2 here.
My little cousin. I got my cookies.
All right, guys. Make sure y'all follow us at Control Magazine. It's KONTROLMAG. If you want to, you can follow me at Michael Jonvier. That's MICHAELJONVIER. I love you guys for talking with me today, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode of Covenant this Thursday.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Have a great one, guys.